Thank you all for taking the time out to attend this session. My objective behind conducting this session, even if one of you do a rethink on how you're going about planning your finances, that would be fruitful for me, having spent the time to explain a few things to you. The entire objective behind this is more to provide a guide. There is no fixed rule that things should happen only in a particular way, as in life. Even with your managing your personal finances, each one of you should understand yourself, your own story, and accordingly take decisions. But there are a few basic principles which do not change for most people. So the entire thing has been structured to give you a sense of direction, give you pointers where you need to be careful in life, where you need to watch out. A lot of my financial planning clients will vouch for this. People who have been disciplined will vouch for this, that this is no rocket science. Having said that, the rocket science is mainly on the personal habits front, where you need to inculcate a few, you need to bring in discipline in a few areas of life so that you're as much as possible in the right direction to achieving your goals. So without wasting further time, I'll just start. So there are different ways in which we can look at the life stages. First is you're a student, you're studying till about you're 22 to some people 25, 26. Second phase is when we probably would get married, we travel, we grow in our career, we start something on our own. And the third is retirement phase. This is one way of looking at it. So this is the what I put inside is something that I like. Assuming someone starts working at the young age of 22 and your starting salary is about 3 lakhs, and assuming you get at least an 8% growth in your yearly income on an average. Some people tell me this is on the higher side, but let's just assume for an illustration purpose. By when you actually retire, you'll be earning almost 55 lakhs. So if you just add this from the 22nd year till the 60th year when you retire, if you just add this comes to a total of about 7.16 crores, just adding all these, your annual income. And that's a lot of money. 7.16 crores is much more than what we probably require for our retirement corpus also. In between, there are a lot of good things that happen, marriage, career growth, unfortunate things like you may lose your job, recession, a death in the family, death of a loved one. A lot of things could happen where we don't have control. But we do have control on the earnings part, and that is what I would like to emphasize here. So how we manage all in these beautiful years from the time you start earning till you retire, it's the best part of your life. So how we make most out of it is what is going to determine how our retirement years are going to be. So the another way of looking at is, as I mentioned, you're a kid, you're a bachelor, then you get married, no kids, another beautiful phase, then you become parents and retirement. So this is a way of looking at it personally. If you have to look at it from a career point of view, the different life stages are, you have your early career when you've just started working, you're figuring out your role, your job, whether this is what you want to do. Then there's a mid-career when the focus improves, you put in all the effort and you actually grow. Late career is when you've consolidated your position, your organization, and finally retirement. From a financial way, if you have to look at the different life stages, one is the planning phase. When you're just starting, you don't know how to go about it, how to do, what to do, how to do. This is the first 2-3 years when you're also grappling, you're trying to understand how do I start, what is my risk profile, which kind of investment do I need to do I need to do at all. Second is, once you have understood the first phase, the main part is the accumulation phase, when you actually do all the work. And that is the focus of this session also, is that this lasts the maximum time period. Okay, so the third is the distribution phase, when you actually start utilizing the corpus that you have managed to save. And finally, legacy is when whatever you managed to earn through your hard work, you leave it for somebody. So there are 3 different ways of looking at how the different life stages, personally, professionally, as well as financially. Now, why should you do? the entire, if you say life cycle management of your personal finances, just put in is equal to mark. That means how you manage your asset allocation. That is the most important. You may not earn the highest of returns. It's not practically possible also to keep earning very good returns, but you can, with a structured approach, with an understanding on probably how you need to go about it, what you will ensure is good risk adjusted returns, so that you are able to accumulate a corpus, you're able to beat inflation. So these are the three reasons why these are the two reasons actually. Risk, if you are able to manage your risk, risk could come from any angle: your job loss, your death in the families, a lot of things could go wrong. So markets could crash, wars, there are many things that will count as a risk factor. So if you can manage your risk, you can structure your assets, you allocate the right amount to the right kind of resources, so that there is financial stability for you at all points in time. That will help you achieve your financial goals. So again, it is no one straight line. Each one will have to manage in their own way, but these are the broad reasons why you need to do. So the first thing is risk. So there are two parts to this, if you can see. One is your financial requirements or financial goals or financial needs, however you put it. The second is your risk. So having said that, the first part is you need to have a financial plan, which we'll again just touch upon later. You need to have your goals. You need to know why you're doing it. If you're young, also you can have at least a retirement goal. You can say, by the time, if you're in your early 20s, you can say, by the time I'm 40, I want to have 3 crores. I don't think that's a very difficult goal to set. Each one of you, the story is different. So it's an individual journey. You have to put down why you are doing this. Someone could be as simple as, I just want to do nothing after my retirement. I've worked hard enough. It could be as simple as that. So put down your story, put down your goals. The second thing is the image says it all. Second part of this entire journey is your risk. Your risk appetite is different. Each one of us come from a very different background. Each one of us can take a very different level of risk. It's a combination of our circumstances as well as our personal life story. Okay, so you need to understand what is my risk appetite. So the first and the foremost thing before you start, if somebody young is listening to this, I'd be very happy, because the first step you need to do, even before you think of investments and all that, is understand your risk profile. While when you're beginning your investment journey, it's not very easy to. Many people come to us and tell us, I'll start investments, I will do this, but they panic at the smallest fall in the market. Okay, understand what you are as a person. So there are three components to understanding your risk profile. What is the risk required? If tomorrow you need to have 3 crores, you're 22 years old, by 35 you need to have 3 crores, you have to take a risk. It is not possible otherwise, until and unless you're really earning a lot of money. What is your risk capacity? How much risk can you take, and your risk tolerance? Am I somebody who does not panic, who does not worry if something goes wrong? Okay, so all these three put together is your risk profile. It's a journey again. You will not understand it in the first go, but you need to be aware that there is a concept like this of risk profile. Nowadays, it's become mandatory by SEBI and other regulatory organizations to get the risk profile of the client before we even start their financial plan. So whether you are doing it through an advisor or doing it yourself, please have cognizance of this particular concept. The other way of looking at a risk, and this is more from an investments angle, is the type of instrument that you're getting into. You can be an aggressive investor, you can be a very conservative investor. So if you're an aggressive investor, maybe most of your investments are into equities. If you're a conservative investor, you could be probably into FD, or a lot of your money is only into savings bank. Okay, so this is the other way of looking at it. You need to figure out what is your risk profile. So if you see, again, these are the two things. You have your investments can be very low risk to very high risk, and the chart on the right tells you what kind of instruments will fit in where. So if you're going to keep your money in your savings bank account, you're going to get only 3%, but practically zero risk. If you're going to go get into commodities, your returns may not be very high. It may be in the range of maybe 7 to 10% from a long-term point of view, but the risk could be high because commodities are linked to a lot of other variables. Equities have the highest risk, but will also give you the highest return. So understand your risk profile, understand the investments, and what is the risk reward profile of these investments. So this is a chart which my colleague Sanjay will be, we will be sharing the PPT later. So this is just more from an academic interest point of view to drive the point that when I say life cycle management is equal to asset allocation, it is to tell you that no asset class will do well at all times. I have provided for Nifty gold, real estate and FD interest rates. Just from an academic interest point of view, just see for the last 20 years. So you can see there are many minus years. In 2008, when the Lehman Brothers incident happened, we were down by 51%. In 2015, we were down by only 4%. So each year, the returns have varied. It's not going to be one straight line in any asset class. Similarly, in interest rates, we have again entered a scenario of very good interest rates. But if somebody had come to me 2 years back, I would have probably rechecked if they have long-term goals on how much should be in a debt component. As you can see, in 1999, 2000, we were almost at 11, 12%. Those were the days. I remember even my PPF account used to give me that high interest rates. Come to 2021, we came down to as low as 5% on several FDs. So you need to understand how the interest rates could vary. This is for home prices across between over the last 10 years. I mean, from FY11 to 21, how the home price rates have grown. This is one asset class, probably given how India is expected to boom over the next 2 decades or so, you could expect these kind of returns. Gold. If someone had come to me even last year and said, what is the historical returns that gold had given from 1981 to 2022, 23, I would have said 5 to 6%. The run-up has been so beautiful that now it's touching about 7 to 7.5%. Gold has given very attractive returns, but again, it should be only part of your asset allocation. Just have a look at the different return values when you get time. There are other things that will affect our life cycle planning, and besides your age, your income and expenses, your risk tolerance, the timelines when each goal is going to pan out. So broadly, we have now covered what all you need to keep in mind, what are all the factors you need to consider before you start your investment journey. Okay, this is just a thing on financial plan. I'm just reiterating, you need to put down your own goals on. If you don't have the why answered, you're not going to get anywhere. So that is very, very important. Understand your risk profile, understand the risk profile of the investments, and have your why answered. Now, before I actually get down to the different life stages, this is a must-have before you do any investments, before you plan any of your investments into any asset class. 3 things. Make sure you have an emergency corpus. If you're salaried, at least 1 year, 6 months to 1 year. If you're having your own business, try having it for at least 2 years. If you're someone in the 60+ category, retired, ideally 2 years of expenses should just be lying in a very, very safe place. Health cover of at least 10 lakhs. If you're an individual, you can take a floater policy. Over and above that, you can try for a super top-up, depending on your age and requirement. A term cover is a must under 2 conditions. If you have loans or liabilities, and 2, if somebody is dependent on your income. This cannot be I cannot drive this point enough. If these 3 are the first 3 ticks that you need to do before you go to the next step. So please make sure these 3 are in place. You can delay your investments a little, but make sure you have your emergency corpus. Okay. Now, this is the first stage, the most beautiful stage. If you ask many people in my age group in their 40s, we would all love to come back to this stage because a lot of mistakes along the way, lot of errors in our investment journey, we would love to restart. So this is the age between 20, probably between 20 to 30, early 30s nowadays, because people are getting married late, little later than what my generation used to rather. So what are your responsibilities when you just start earning? You just learn to figure out your own expenses. You learn to manage expenses on your own without depending on the family, probably repaying your education loans, saving for your rainy day, and small things. There's not too much burden on you. Many of them are lucky to have parents who are still earning. So this is a beautiful phase. In terms of desires, it is like any young person. You want to go travel, your nice vacation, clothes, gadgets, and anything, instant gratification, maybe a cricket match or a movie, whatever works for you. So what should be your goals? So irrespective of the age, you should have a financial plan. As I said, if you're very young, you can say, I want 3 crores by the time I'm 35. Or you can say, when I retire at 60, I want to have 50 crores. Whatever is the thing. You will have goals. Each one of us have desires. So split your desires into core and non-core, and these could be the financial goals that you could set for yourself. The biggest hurdle people face is in starting. This is the most difficult phase. It sounds very theoretical, but it is the most important phase. I want to have a health cover of 10 lakhs. Can I offer the premium? I want to get married 3 years down the line. Maybe I need to spend from my end. I want to put in a contribution of 10 lakhs to help my parents. Can I do it? So each one of you will have any one of this or all of this or any combination, but these could probably be your goals. Upskilling, further studies is very, very important at your age. So which you need to plan. Please do that. Many young people who come to us do it, and it's very gratifying, very heartening to see them do that. Okay, so these could be your financial goals. Put down your goals and see how much you probably would need for what, and with a timeline. Now you're young. In all probability, each one story, as I mentioned, is different. In all probability, you don't have too many responsibilities. I mean, this is general case. I'm not saying it will be the story for everybody. Many of you may have to send money back home or whatever is your circumstance. But this is an age, because you have many years to work. You have at least 30 to 40 years. You can afford to take a lot more risk than probably somebody in their 40s or 50s. So this is the stage to be aggressive in your investments. And when I say aggressive, an informed choice into equity class like equities, where the risk is also high, the return is also high. Even if things go wrong, it'll bounce back. I showed you the Nifty 50 chart sometime back. Not all years were negative, not all years were positive. So given that you're in your 20s, even if if the markets don't do well for 2-3 years, you have a long life, you have a long time period for it to bounce back. Okay, so this is the age when consciously try being a little more aggressive so that you are in a position to build that corpus. As you move on to the next stage, your responsibilities increase, circumstances change, so your ability to take that kind of a risk will be less. This is also a stage when your parents may still support you little. If things go wrong, people will understand. So try going aggressive at this stage, almost maybe 70 to 80% into equities. These are just broad numbers. Again, understand your risk appetite and take a call, but definitely you need to, unless you take the risk, you're not going to get that kind of a return. 20% into debt and fixed income products. A few things that I would love to keep talking only on this stage, because there are so many things you can correct, you can set right. This is the most beautiful stage to build your savings habit. If you don't inculcate it now, you could slip sometime in between. So the first and foremost point is, please build your savings, investing habits at this stage. Try doing at least 20% of your income. If you don't inculcate that habit now, you may find it difficult later. Have a financial plan. I've spoken enough about it. The fourth point says enroll for long-term retirement savings options. If your organization gives you EPF, NPS, please enroll for it. I cannot undermine the importance of these beautiful investment avenues. They silently help you build a very, very good corpus over the next 15 to 20 years. It's a small part of your income. Initially, it may pinch you. Try not touching this, but this is the best stage to enroll for these retirement savings options like EPF, NPS. If you have a PPF, that's another beautiful investment avenue, completely tax free, and probably the only instrument which besides Sukanya Samriddhi, which probably may be tax free in many years to come. So this is, if you can put only 500, fine. If you can put 2,000, fine. If you can put 5,000, fine. But please start investing into these instruments for long-term savings. Ensure you have a health and a term cover. You can take a term cover because premium will be very low. Unlike a health cover, in a term cover, the premium remains the same. So this is the best stage to get into a term cover if you're pretty sure on how your life is going to shape up. Okay. The last point is start your SIPs for every mode of investment. I'm saying this because your income is not very high, but you need to start investing, you need to start saving. So what you can do is every investment can be today be done in an SIP mode. Your PPF, your NPS, your EPF, your normal SIP in mutual funds. You can buy even shares, fixed quantity every month. So try setting it up in an SIP mode. The burden will be less on you, and the savings investment continues and savings accumulates. Okay. This table is just to prove to you the point that if you start at how the corpus varies depending on the age and when you start, even if you put a simple monthly SIP of 10,000, you start at 25 or 30 or 35, how the corpus varies. Someone who starts at 25 will manage a 3.79 crores corpus. Someone who starts at 35 will be manage only 1.32. So the earlier you start, the better. Schools don't teach us this. Please, from your first salary, start putting some money into investment mode. So again, the last point before I move to the next stage, postpone instant gratification as much as possible. Inculcate the discipline, inculcate the saving startup. Some of the mistakes, things that I've seen when young people come to us is, there's an erratic starting and stopping of your investments, SIPs especially. Try not doing that. You start with a smaller amount. Start with how much which you will not need to touch. It will not disturb you. But start with a small amount. Don't have an erratic journey of SIP. Easy money, be very careful when you get into that. That's the point that I'll again touch upon. Please don't get lured by somebody making 200% return, 300% returns. Everything has a catch. There is a risk element attached to everything. Okay. Don't be in a hurry to explore investment avenues which you are not ready for. Peer-to-peer lending is one example I'm giving. I see many people coming and telling me, I put 2 lakhs here in this platform, in that platform. That is good for people who have that money, who have achieved, build that corpus for a certain level of goals. Do it at that stage in life. Don't do it when your income is still low and when you still have not completed making your investments for the core goals, like your retirement, your marriage, your further education. Okay. So be careful before you get lured when a friend of yours tells you that crypto is good or peer-to-peer lending is good. I'm not saying they're good or bad. I'm just saying know yourself before you get into these investments. Investing only on the basis of past performance. Today, investing, especially in mutual funds, people think it's relatively easy. Probably true, because there's so much dissemination of information on the websites of mutual funds as well as other platforms. So people just go blindly by the top 5 returns and invest. I've been in this industry for the last 20 to 25 years. I can say with certainty that a scheme may do well for 3-4 years and may not do well for 2-3 years. And this does not put a question mark on the fund manager. It is on the approach that they have taken, because of which there could be a lag in performance. So this also drives 2 points. You need to stay invested. And second, something that did well in the past may not repeat its performance. So young people, please take cognizance of these before you start your investment journey. Now we'll go to the second stage, When you're just married, again, a beautiful phase, life looks rosy, everything seems nice. But on your responsibility side, there's an increased household expenses, your risk management, the need for risk management, when I say increases, because you're accountable to somebody else also, extended family commitments, your parents, their parents, sisters, siblings, your repayment of small loans continues, and you focus on moving up the corporate ladder. You're still young, so the desires don't change. It still continues to be a travel, clothes, gadgets, upskilling, maybe the first car or so. So this is probably the place where you're currently in. So what could be your financial goals at this stage? So if you're finding it difficult in understanding what should I put down as goals, emergency corpus is definitely a must. It's two of you. So you have to take care of both your needs. So please make sure that you don't compromise on the emergency corpus front. You probably desire having a home, the first home together, retirement, building a corpus for other goals, tax planning and upskilling. So there's not too much of a difference between the first stage and the second stage. Probably at a larger scale, you would start doing, probably the one big goal that you would add on to is a home purchase. So this could probably be a goal or a base for you to start with. Now, there is a balance that slowly starts happening. It will not happen overnight. I suggested that in the first stage, you should be doing 80-20, 80% more into risky equities kind of asset class and 20% here. Now you bring it down to 70%. The 30% should go into hybrid kind of investments, mutual funds, NPS, where you have both equity and non-equity options and debt. Okay, continue your EPF, PPF kind of investments. So you become from when very aggressive, you become moderately aggressive. The direction should still be on the aggressive front, because again, still your responsibilities are not much. You're still young. You have time on your side. You can afford to take the risk. So from very high risk, you could come to the moderately high risk category. What are the things that you need to bear in mind? Like I mentioned, so many things for people in their early, just before marriage stage or early 20s. For people who are just married, please keep revisiting your financial plan. Do not stop your investments into EPF, PPF, or any other investments. Try not taking out your PPF, EPF money for your marriage goals. Start stepping up your SIP investments. Every year, as your income increases, try increasing it by your SIP also by 5% or 10%. Emergency corpus again. So try in this stage, try increasing your investments to about 30%, at least, especially if both of you are earning. Okay. And start doing tax planning based on each one's income, each one's goals properly. So these are the things that you need to take care when you're in the just married stage. Now, the third stage is when kids come into picture, parents are aging, and our experience says that most people come to us for financial planning at this stage. Nowadays, a lot of younger people do come, but most of them come at this particular stage, because this is when they wake up, they realize that they have done something, but it's not been very structured. An LIC here, a term cover there, a health cover here, some SIP, some shares, some random investment, one plot purchase. So typically you're in that stage where you have done, it's not that you've not done, but you don't know whether it's in the right direction. So most people start financial planning at this stage. How is this stage characterized? Lot of increase in expenses. Children are growing up. Their needs. Your risk management, is a term cover of 1 crore enough? 50 lakhs enough? Is something that you start thinking about. Aging parents, their medical expenditure, bigger loans. You in all probability have a home by then. Bigger loan, so bigger home loan. Career. You are going through your own journey on the career front. Maybe you're doing very well. Maybe you think you need to be doing better. And this is also the stage when you start focusing on health issues. What could be the desires? Typically, we see that people want a bigger car, a better home, probably because the first home is something that they just managed to buy. They would desire to have a thing and a good vacation. So what are the goals that you could, if you have not yet started your financial planning, these are some of the goals that you could look at to start to do it in a much more structured way. Children's education definitely takes a priority for most people. You may compromise on other goals, but you are not going to most people don't compromise on their children's education. So you could keep that as priority. A second home, your retirement, and then probably a vehicle vacation and all that. Vehicle vacation would classify as probably an aspirational goal. A second home is also an aspirational goal, but your retirement, children's education cannot be compromised on. So this is a stage when you need to be very sure, have clarity on your core goals and non-core goals, as or core goals or aspirational goals, however you would like to put it. Have clarity on that particular aspect and start the journey. So again, there is a slight balancing. So when I say balancing, see, it does not happen overnight. Gradually try to increase your liquidity. How will you increase your liquidity? By putting it into instruments that you don't need for very long-term goals. Try having that emergency corpus amount higher, a little into mutual hybrid funds, hybrid kind of mutual funds, so that even if the market crashes, you know your returns are not going to fall steeply. So there's a slight balancing. A good ratio would be 60-20-20, 60 into equities kind of an asset class, 20% into hybrid, and 20% into pure debt. Okay, so this you will again in this stage you will be from moderate to moderately aggressive. This is also a stage. So typically the stage is between 35 to 45, 48, I would say, based on how we have seen. So if you can afford to be moderately aggressive, start gradually increasing your hybrid and debt component. At this stage, some of the things that is very important is keep revisiting your retirement and your children's education goal. There are two goals in which inflation is very high. One is your children's education. In some cases, people say it's as high as 11 to 12%. And medical, last year, there was a data, I don't recall the source, but it came in Economic Times that it was 14% medical inflation. So your retirement, your children's education goal, medical inflation goal, these are goals that you need to keep revisiting very consciously at this particular stage in life, because things could change. Your children are maybe small, you don't have clarity on what they eventually want to do, but at least for that particular goal, you need to keep revisiting it every year. Okay, broaden your investment horizon. So when I start saying broaden your investment horizons, you'll also, besides what you're investing for your regular purpose, like your all this retirement and normal goals, also start looking at other non-passive sources of income. If you have if you have two homes, try to see that if that rental income can be redeployed so that it generates another source of income at a later date. Maybe you can put, this is a stage you can probably explore things like peer-to-peer lending, where you get an additional interest income, tax-free, guaranteed tax-free income options. So there are passive income options. You can you can increase your investment in shares so that you build a dividend income corpus. So there are many ways. You need to put in that effort, and it takes time and effort. So this is a beautiful stage when you can start working towards your passive income options. So besides revisiting your goals, especially children's education goal and medical, gradually start building passive income options. The fourth stage just before retirement is your pre-retirement phase, typically in your 50s, when it's a beautiful time to start consolidating your investments. Your primary goal at that point in time would be to probably complete the education of their children, and if maybe marriage also. In all probability, a home is done for most of you, but this is typically the responsibility. Your children would also be in the fag end of their education, maybe undergraduation last year or post-graduation in most cases. And in terms of your desires, as your retirement is nearing, you will not be doing too much. So you want to have that good house, a comfortable vehicle, and maybe continue your vacation so that you continue to enjoy your life also. So in terms of goals, what you could probably revisit at this stage is my retirement planning corpus enough? Because you still have time to do many things. 51, 52 is also an age where many of them come to us, and to just check if what they have accumulated is enough. keep reviewing. You can keep checking on the health and emergency requirement. This is a stage when a lot of them take a super top up, because you can't afford a 1 crore medical premium, but probably you can take for 10 lakhs base premium and then take a super top up. Again, there is no age to write a will, but if this is a beautiful age also to start making a will, get it registered, so that there are no complications, there are no issues. You've worked hard, you've accumulated enough. Make sure it goes to the right people in the right way. And for the right purpose. So make a will. This is again a beautiful age to make a will and keep things. So a lot of things are sorted when there is peace of mind, financially, and on all these other issues. There may be small issues that could come up in your personal life, but this is all in our control, so we should be doing it. So making a will, don't undermine this importance of this. Think about it if you have not done one. So in the pre-retirement phase, again, there is again a little bit of balancing. Here, I have put 50% equities, but depending on your risk profile, it could be anything from 30 to 50%. You have it in equities. Make sure your EPF, everything continues, and maybe 20% into debt and debt-related products. Bonds, this thought just came to me. People who are in their 50s, interest rates are really high for many AA rated bonds. You're getting close to about 8 to 9% yield also in certain corporate bonds. Good time to lock in if you have surplus money, so that you get regular cash flows, and it will come to your help once you start the retirement phase. So very important, this is the stage, few things that you need to do. Please consolidate and rebalance your investments. People typically in their 50s would also belong to a generation when they had multiple bank accounts, multiple FDs, multiple insurance policies. Consolidate that, make it structured, understand how much of what you have. You must start doing this now. So prune your bank accounts and consolidated savings accounts into one or two. Start planning for monthly and quarterly cash flows. I have a client who is doing it beautifully. He needs 1 lakh a month. He's almost close to 58, 59. He needs 1 lakh a month starting when he's 60. He's already deployed his investments in such a way that as on date, he gets guaranteed cash flows for 66,000 or so. For the next 20, 25 years, he needs to just work on that balance 30, 35,000 per month, for which he has his mutual fund investments where we can set up an SWP. So start working on that direction, on creating a monthly cash flow to see if you're ready when the actual retirement day arrives. Mix of high risk and moderate investments. Start planning for your post-retirement pursuits. Many of them don't actually retire. They continue working, maybe take up consultancy, maybe take up a teaching profession. So start working on it. That would also, like how at a younger age, you need to constantly upskill. At this age, we need to start thinking about our post-retirement plans. So if that requires an investment, start planning financially for that. And finally, focus on generating tax-efficient sources of income. Luckily, we Indians have our EPF, PPF and all, which are tax-free. But if there are any other avenues, like your insurance companies provide the guaranteed tax-free income, it should be a part as one of your investments. Start working on planning for all that. Finally, the beautiful phase, retired, when you're actually free, when you're hopefully free, finally. So what is your responsibility at that stage is, if you can happily manage your own expenses, take care of all the assets that you've built through your hard work, financial as well as non-financial. And the most important at this stage in life is your health. Keep reviewing, is your health emergency? Besides your health cover, in case of any emergency, is there enough corpus so that you don't have to depend on your children or anybody? Nobody will, it's not that others would not do it for you, but it's good if you have created that kind of corpus for yourself. In terms of desires, you would still continue to moderately travel to a few places, your spiritual pursuits probably, on your other hobbies. So this is a stage of life. So what could be your goals in terms at this beautiful stage? I mentioned earlier too, if you're in the retired phase, try having at least 2 years of your expenses untouched in a very safe place. At this stage in life, a savings bank account works. manage your regular cash flows. At this stage, inflation, there's not too much risk that you can take. So you'll also need to manage your regular cash flows in terms of putting it into the right FD. Currently, FDs are senior citizens accounts, gives you a very good interest rate of 8.2%. Utilize it. You'll have to still keep tracking where you get what interest rate so that your regular cash flows for the next few years is maintained. Maintain capital preservation, moderate growth in corpus and health. So again, this percentage can vary to 20 to 30% into equities, and the balance can be in hybrid and debt kind of products. I'm sorry, there's an error here. I mentioned EPF, PPF. Typically, people at this stage will not have that EPF, at least EPF corpus. PPF, you can continue depending on how long you wish to continue. So my apologies for the error. So your approach will have to be conservative in this particular life stage. Keep it max of 30%. You need to be into equities and equity asset classes so that your corpus grows. You need to take that risk. We are no longer at that stage or that kind of a scenario. Earlier, if you even ask 20, 30 years back, people used to get a big amount in corpus and that they used to somehow try managing. Now we know we can continue with our investments in mutual funds and shares, and if required, we can take it out. So continue to be invested in the equity asset class because your money should also grow so that you see yourself living comfortably till the life expectancy age of 85 to 90 years. So take a conservative approach. So from a very aggressive, moderately aggressive in your just married and children stage to moderate to conservative. So these are the 5 ways in which you slowly need to start moving. This is just a ready reckoner on depending on the risk profile, low, moderate to low. Broadly, this is not a definite rule, but broadly how the allocation should change depending on thing. Now, very quickly, I'll just take 2-3 minutes to say, as I mentioned, when you say life cycle management of your personal finances, that means is equal to just how your asset allocation works. There are a few things that we see impacts overall returns on your asset allocation. I'm just touching upon those. One is very high concentration of real estate. People want to, after the first home, which is a must, you must have one home so that you're not dependent in your old age on anybody for your shelter. Second home, fine. Many tend to have 3 homes, what they have received through their parents, plots, land, inherited land. Think about it. Too much into real estate blocks your liquidity, blocks the kind of returns. You need to have a mix of financial and non-financial assets. So especially people in their young, between their 30 to 40, you go in for the second home. That's a personal choice. But first work out the numbers, see how it will impact your liquidity. Now I get to hear that rental yields have improved to 4% or so, but typically rental yields do not cross 2.5%. And on that post-tax, it's only 1% or so. Until and unless you're reinvesting that money, just check, are you really earning returns above inflation? So before you get too much into real estate, have cognizance of how it will impact your future numbers. Is a financial asset going to give me higher returns in the longer run, or this asset? And have cognizance. Each one of us have a different liquidity requirement. We cannot afford to park too much money into real estate. So be aware of that too. We think it's as easy to sell that land, that plot at the time of children's education or marriage. May not be the case. Love for gold. There are many different ways. You can have gold ETFs, gold mutual funds. You can have physical gold. You can, a lot of ways in which you can invest in gold. Nothing wrong. If it is for jewelry purpose, then go in for physical gold. But if it's for investment purpose, try going in for coins or bars so that you don't unnecessarily waste money on making charges. Sovereign gold bonds is also, again, another very good option. You also get an interest income. Hold it till maturity. Beautiful way to have your asset allocation in gold and also earn decent returns. As I mentioned, the historical last 40 years returns of gold has moved from 5 to close to about 7% because of the run up in gold in the last 4 to 5 years. Have it as one of your asset allocation, but before you put too much into gold, think about it. Gold and silver, try maintaining that combination between gold and silver. While gold is better from a long-term asset allocation point of view, silver will always have its use. So a small amount into silver also helps. Less exposure to equities. You may not be a very aggressive kind of an investor or someone with appetite to take very high risk, but still you should, at even like what I mentioned, even in your 60s, you should be have some exposure to equities, because that is the only asset class it will help you build that corpus and beat inflation. So don't be under invested in equities. Do it based on your risk profile, but there should always be some share. Playing it safe. People, we still come across people who can keep more than what is required in their emergency corpus in the savings bank account. Why do you want your money to earn only 3%? You also pay tax on that interest. Post tax, you earn practically nothing. You're only earning negative returns. So if there's excess money lying in your bank account, please deploy it in an alternate avenue. You can. I'm not a very big fan of FDs, but FDs are still better than a savings bank account. So try maximizing your returns. Don't play it too safe. If you have kept for your emergency corpus, maybe keep another 5-10% more. You can always take it out, but put it into an avenue which will earn you higher returns. Frivolous spending, try before post. This concept is picking up. It's called postpone instant gratification. So that's something that you need to think. Quick money. I spoke about this when we spoke on the youngster stage. Please, the lure of quick money. Making money is no rocket science, but it is not easy. Also, it's a long journey, a beautiful journey. Enjoy the process. Don't get lured by quick money. Are we, as a house, are we for cryptos and all that? We are not, only because it's not regulated. See, even if you see today, mutual funds, shares, insurance, after so many years of tweaking and understanding and seeing how it works, the regulations are finally in place. For an investors interests are really protected. That's not the case with a lot of this quick money options. So be careful. So this is finally, before I sum up, this is a table of an actual financial plan for a client, how his asset allocation is. He has a fair share of both financial and non-financial assets, like into PPF, into PF, EPF, insurance. And also his real estate is good. It's at about 2.3 crores. He is managing about 8.7% overall returns on his assets, all his assets put together. His net worth is about 4.58 crores. 8.7% is a good number. If the real estate was probably 5 crores, this would come down to about 7%. So every tweaking in these avenues will affect your overall returns. A good number to have is anything from 7 to 9. That means you're building over and above the corpus. My final takeaways: risk management, health cover, emergency term cover, no compromise on that. Start small but early, understand your risk profile. Make sure your returns are always above an inflation rate. Learn to spend some time understanding basic personal finance rules. It's no rocket science, but it's a beautiful learning. Finally, make a will. It's important so that what you have done through your hard work is not frittered away. So these are: review your financial plan every year if possible, at least once in 2-3 years is a must. So I hope you found this session useful. I hope it guided you in some way. Very quickly about Right Horizons. We are a 20-year-old investment advisory firm specializing on the financial planning front. We also have our own PMS. It's a 60-member team. We are headquartered at Bangalore, but now we have branches in all key locations of the country: Mumbai, Pune, Chennai, Gurgaon. So if anybody would like to reach us, you could write to us. My colleague Sanjay would help you connect with the right person. Our core expertise continues to be helping people with their tax planning, financial planning, starting their investments, and help them grow along the way so that they are well equipped to meet their financial goals. These are my credentials. If anybody is interested in starting investments, understanding about insurance, starting a financial planning journey, you could reach me. Yeah, hope you found this session useful. Please always have a sense on where you stand with respect to your finances. It's a small effort that you need to put in at the beginning, but it's worth the journey. Yeah, I'm open to questions now.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. I think we're already having one or two questions in the Q&A section. We can take them.
Okay. Can I take the question through the chat box?
Yes, ma'am.
So some Pradeep has asked, is gold ETF better than physical gold? So as I mentioned, if you're doing it for investment purpose, any day gold ETF works better. Cost is very low. It tracks the same gold index. If you're doing it for jewelry purpose, then go in for physical gold. Try balancing between your option between physical gold. If you're not doing for investment purpose, it's a waste, because one, you're locking in, you're not earning any returns on it. Three, there is a cost to saving that also. And by chance, in some cases, if you are planning to exit it, that investment, the jeweler will directly cut maybe 20 to 30% of its value. So only if it's jewelry purpose, have it as physical gold. Otherwise, do it in one of these E modes. Gold ETF is great, or gold mutual fund, whatever works for you better. Yeah, I'll just take the questions on the chat box also. What to do when retirement is after 10 years? Yeah, so as I said, consolidate all your investments. First of all, get a sense on how much you have, what more you need to do. Number one, consolidate your investments. You would have accumulated a lot. See if that is enough. See if that is sufficient. See if that requires a realignment. Maybe it's in very risky assets or very safe assets. Start planning for your cash flows, how the cash flows would start coming in when you're closer to your retirement, and try focusing on the taxation part, because when you're retired, or we would like to pay as less taxes as possible. Even otherwise, we would like to pay as less taxes, but the it takes a higher priority in your post-retirement years. So start generating tax-free sources of income. Please make a will, and start planning for your post-retirement pursuits. Is asset allocation most underrated in current situation when most chase returns in equity alone? Yeah, Madhusudan, you said it perfectly. I think you hit the bullseye. Very, very true. What is more important is risk-adjusted returns. Okay, you should earn returns over and above inflation, after taxes, after your inflation. But yes, asset allocation is something that people are trying to learn, but the importance of it is still not fully understood. You're very right. How you where your money goes towards which asset will determine your thing. So you may not earn the best returns, you may not earn 40-50%, but you can safely earn a comfortable premium over inflation. NFO is better than mutual fund and SIP investment. Nothing wrong with an NFO. It's just that sometimes you don't know the track record of that particular scheme. Every scheme goes through its ups and downs. It's like you say, take some, I cannot take any particular product. Look for at least a 10-year kind of returns. That will tell you a lot about how that scheme has done, when it did not do well, why it did not do well. Okay, better. That is the only reason why an NFO is not advised. Each one's personal choice. Nothing as per se wrong with an NFO. Just it's good to go with a scheme that has a good track record. Is there any limit to the mutual funds I can invest in? Like, can I have 10? Yeah, good question. We do not normally advise having more than 7 to 8. It honestly does not make sense. So what you should do, your approach should be more than, instead of having 10 to 15 mutual funds, your approach should be, am I present in every category, depending on your age profile. So something, if you're in your 30s, you can have more 2 mid caps, not 5 or 6, 2 mid caps. When if you're in your late 40s, maybe 2 large caps, 1 mid cap. So make sure you're present in each category, so that you're at different times, different categories perform well. Like now, large caps are doing well. So make sure you're there in every category. It does not serve any purpose having too many schemes in one category, because they all invest into the same basket. If you're investing in mid caps, 5 mid caps, they all go into the same 150 stocks. So have maybe 2 or 3, depending on the life stage you're in, within each category. But 15 is too high a number. I think any number between 7 to 8 is good enough. What are ways to get 30 to 35% ROI? Which vehicle do you choose? I think you will get only in debt, bonds, where the credit risk is very high. Still, even they give only 14 to 17. I don't know of ways where you can get 30 to 35%. Probably real estate plots which are not regulated, which I don't know, depending on the area, location. But a structured, regulated financial instrument, 30 to 35% without taking very high risk is not possible. NPS versus ELSS, which is a better one? Each one has its purpose. NPS is definitely as one of the investment avenues that we might recommend to people, because going forward, if there is some tweaking in terms of tax benefits, we think it will happen only in NPS, because NPS is voluntary, what you give from your pocket. ELSS is good especially for people, young people who can afford to block their money for the 3 years. ELSS gives the highest return, highest risk, and has the lowest lock-in from a tax-saving investment perspective under ATC. So each one has a different purpose. NPS is more for a long-term retirement. ELSS is better from a tax savings point of view, and probably holding it for a medium term. So you cannot compare the two. Both are good. If you're somebody young and who needs more liquidity, ELS is probably the best instrument, because after 3 years you can start taking out your money. NPS, definitely have it as one of your long-term retirement option. Mutual fund versus index investment, which is index can also be done via mutual funds. You can do it through ETFs also. A mix of both is good. If you're a passive investor, say good to put it into index kind of funds and just think. If you're someone who likes tracking their portfolio regularly, who's more hands-on, probably you need a good mix of active and thing. I would advise a mix of active and passive. Maybe it depends on the category. Again, if it's something like large, you can have a mix of both active and passive. So maybe a mix of both would work. Okay, I've done okay funds, like you said, but simply asset. Okay, so I don't know about the nutrition part, Mr. Madhusudan, I'm sorry. Is it advisable to deploy huge bulk lump sum at one go in current market heights, or staggered approaches? But it's like double-edged sword, as in case. Okay. So is it, yeah, you can deploy a big lump sum, even whether you do it yourself or if you go to any advisor, they would only adopt a staggered approach. It's not that they will deploy it also at one go. You can invest. See, you can't time the market. People cannot time the market. If your broad view over the next 10-15 years is positive, is only in the long run, you only think you're going to make at least 10 to 12% kind of returns, don't time the market today. Put in the money. You can deploy it in a staggered way, like how we do. You can do it yourself. So there's nothing wrong. Don't time the market. It depends on your goal, depends on when you need the money, depends on medium and long-term goals.